What's up everybody, it's your girl Something Flavor, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made this really nice puffer jacket out of a blanket that I had gotten from Walmart. Just keep on watching.
Something Flavor.
Okay, so the supplies that we're going to need is a blanket, and I bought a king size, but you can get away with the twin, it doesn't have to be that big. A zipper, some fabric for our lining, some batting, and then some stuffing. And you can also get away with buying the smaller bag of stuffing because I did not use nearly all of this. So I started off with a jacket that I already knew fit me really well. And on a folded blanket, I folded the jacket in half and took some tailor's chalk and just traced out the template of the jacket, leaving some seam allowance. And then I used those markings as a guide to cut out the back piece of the fabric. Once the back piece is cut out, I use that same piece as the template to cut our two front pieces. But this time we cut along the fold so that when we unfold it, it will be two separate pieces instead of one attached piece like the back. And here's the back piece and the two front pieces. I wanted to cut my sleeves all at the same time, so I took my fabric and I folded it, and then I brought the fabric back towards me and then brought it back forward again so that I would have two folds on the one side, and this allowed me to cut out my sleeves all at the same time. So I brought back the jacket that I had used as the template originally, and I took my tailor's chalk again and I just went ahead and traced out the sleeves, leaving some seam allowance. And I flipped the jacket over to make sure that I had a good trace out of the shoulder. And once that was traced, I just cut along the lines. And now we have both of our sleeves. And the last piece we need to do is just a little neck piece. So I folded my fabric and used the jacket again as a template to mark with the tailor's chalk. And once that was all traced out, then I just went and I cut it. Once everything is cut, then it's time to take the batting and cut every single piece out in the batting as well. So just take the pieces that we had already cut and use them as the templates to cut out the batting so that all the pieces are the same size. And then once all the batting is cut out, then it's time to do the same exact thing to the lining. So every single piece is going to get a lining as well. So just use the same pieces that we had cut out of our fabric as the template again to cut out all the linings. So every single piece should look like this, where it has three pieces and it has a batting, a lining, and the fabric piece. Now that all the pieces are cut out, we have to align up the batting pieces to all of the pieces that it matches with, and align that up to the wrong side of the fabric. Next, we have to make our horizontal lines that makes a puffer jacket a puffer jacket. So I took a ruler and I measured 4 equally spaced lines apart, and I took my tailor chalk and I just drew right on top of the batting. And then I aligned the front piece with my back piece so that I would be able to trace the lines over so that all the lines would be equal going all the way around. And then the tailor's chalk started ripping my batting and I couldn't see, so I had taken a marker and then I just went over everything. And then for the sleeves, I had just matched it up with everything else and made the lines going across equally so that everything again would be matching. Then once all the lines are on, we have to start sewing. So you start sewing at the top, leaving about a 1/2 inch for seam allowance. And then you go across every single line that you had drawn. And then you go ahead and sew again at the bottom so that when you stuff it, all the stuffing will stay inside. And then you just do the same thing to every single piece, sewing across the top, across all the lines, across the bottom, and then once everything is sewn, then we're gonna go and we're gonna stuff it. To sew these lines down, I did just use a straight stitch, and the batting, it is a little difficult to work with because it is like fluffy. But a little trick that I was doing is I just held my fingers in front of the presser foot, being really careful, and that just pushed the batting down and held it down so that it went under the presser foot just a little bit more smoothly. And then once all the lines are sewn, then it's just time to take the stuffing, fluff it out, and then just stuff each one of the little channels that we had made in every single one of the pieces. And now it's time to start assembling. So take your 2 front pieces and align them up with the back piece. Pin them at the shoulders and sew them down on the wrong side of the fabric. Once that is sewn on, we're going to open it up and take the midpoint of the sleeves and align that to where we had attached the 2 shoulder pieces. Pin that down and then sew all the way around the top of the sleeve. And then we're going to do the exact same thing to the other sleeve, just pin it up and then sew all the way around. Once the sleeves are on, we just got to close up the sides by sewing up the body and then down the bottom of the sleeve and doing the exact same thing on the other side. So once the outside pieces are all sewn together, it's time to work on the lining. And we're going to assemble the lining the exact same way that we had assembled the outside pieces. So we're going to start by sewing the 2 shoulders together and then open them up and attach the sleeves the exact same way we did previously. And then once the arms were on, we just opened it up on the wrong side and sewed down the body and down the sleeves and did that on the both sides just to seal everything up. And once the lining was all attached, then it's just time to attach the lining to our fabric. So I lined up the lining to the bottom of the fabric, both facing right sides together. And I pinned it up all on the bottom and then did a straight stitch all the way across. once the lining was attached, then I had opened it up and flipped it on the right way so that the right side of the lining is now going to be showing from the inside of the fabric. And then I had to take the sleeve and bring it inside out so that it's now facing the right way, and go into the lining and also shove it through the inside of the sleeve. To cover up all the raw edges and to attach the lining to the sleeves, I had taken the lining and I had folded that to the outside, and then taken the outside fabric and folded that to the inside, clipped it all up, and then sewed that all the way down around. And then I repeated the exact same thing to the other sleeve. At this point, I decided to add some batting to the little neck piece. So I just used my neck piece and I used it as a template to cut out the batting. And I folded it in half on the wrong side and just made a straight stitch all the way down. And then flipped that inside out so that there would be no raw edges. Then I just aligned the neck piece to the back piece, both on the right sides. And I clipped the neck piece down around the neckline, making sure that I also grabbed the lining and the batting from the back piece so that when I sewed it, everything would be shut. So lastly, we just have to attach the zipper. I took the zipper and I flipped it so that it would be facing the fabric, both on the right sides facing together. And I had taken the zipper and I pinned it down to the front pieces of my fabric, making sure that when I pinned it, I also grabbed the lining and the batting so that everything would be held shut. And then I sewed all the way down the zipper. And then once that was attached, I just flipped it over and gave it a good top stitch. Then to attach the zipper to the other side, I had flipped it so that it would kind of be inside out, and I had aligned the right sides of the zipper to the right sides of the fabric, and I pinned that down, also making sure that I pinned down the lining and the batting with it. And then I sewed it all the way down just like I did to the other side. And then once it was all attached, I had just flipped it to its correct side and then did another top stitch. And boom, this is the finished product. This is a really inexpensive way to make your own puffer jacket. I had bought all the supplies at Walmart for under $25, so it's really affordable. And this jacket is really super warm and it's still really super cute. This was the first time I had ever made a jacket, so it wasn't perfect, and also the zipper was the wrong zipper, so I wasn't able to unzip it all the way. But I'm still able to wear it and I still really like it. So I hope you guys like this video too. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. But thank you so much for watching.